Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another investigation, and I'm in West Sussex. I'm near Steyning, actually. We're just outside Steyning, the main town, and I'm in the countryside, and I'm joined today by Matthew Thomas, who is, well, I'm going to get you to tell me what you do, because this is a wonderful part of the Wiston Estate that we're on.
It is.
And you look after it.
I do. Good to see you, Richard.
Nice to meet you.
And welcome to the Steyning Downland Scheme.
Thank you very much. So it's the Steyning Downland Scheme, and what's your role?
So I'm the project manager, which means that I sit in the office and watch everybody else do the work.
Oh.
That's roughly it anyway.
Oh, right.
So I've been here for about seven or 8 years, I think now. And basically the Steyning Downland Scheme manages about 165 acres of the South Downs National Park that you can see in front of you here.
Yes.
And we've got about 170 odd active volunteers, and they do all the work really. They get organised and do everything from managing the land to monitoring the different types of species that we find on it, to looking after the cattle that I'm sure we'll meet later on.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, the whole thing's run by volunteers, and I sort of sit in the background and type emails. And talk to people like
me. So it's a charity status, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's a registered charity back in 2009.
Right.
That's when we became an official charity. One of our issues at the moment is a thing called ash dieback.
Yes.
If you look over here, this big steep slope, we call it the scarp slope of the South Downs. I'd say 75% of the trees up there are ash trees, and they have caught this horrendous disease called ash dieback. And that's wiping out a lot of our ash trees. So we've got a real issue there, all sorts of things, but mostly health and safety around people using the area, because they tend to fall down with no notice and no warning and drop lumps of wood on people. So we're really working hard to sort that out.
Well, we'll go and have a look at those. But behind us, there are apple trees. So what's that about? There are indeed.
So this is Steyning Community Orchard. Well, actually, this is called the Downland Orchard, and it's been planted by the Steyning Community Orchard, which are a local group that are based in Steyning, and they're trying to re-establish the traditional breeds of apple that we used to find here a long time ago.
Oh,
and other things too. So it's not just apples. I think they've got plums and pears and things in here too.
And as a community orchard, it's just free to come along, and once they're ready, to just go and pick an apple.
That's the idea. Anybody can come in and just pick an apple. So there are a few apples just coming on.
Oh yeah,
over
there. They look very nice. So so if you're going for a walk, what better way is grab an apple and have a stroll.
Absolutely.
Right, we're going to go and take another look, because we're also going to meet up with a chap who's a bit of a historian. Justin, and there is at the old rifle range here.
That's right. That's just at the top there. We'll meet him at the targets. He's a very knowledgeable guy.
Right. As long as he's not armed and dangerous, we'll be all right.
He might be actually, but we'll find out.
Let's stroll on.
Okay.
So this looks very interesting.
Yes,
Matthew.
Yeah, this is the old rifle range.
Oh, right.
And here's Justin.
Hello, Justin. We're all doing our social distance handover. Thank you so much, Matthew. That's really cool.
I better get back and do some emails.
Oh yes, get back to the office.
Computer withdrawal symptoms, but good to meet you guys.
So let's have a look at this. So we've moved over to the old rifle range now, and I've been joined by Justin Russell. Hello, Justin.
Hello, hi there.
By this rather interesting contraption that is the last thing really you expect to find if you're out having a country walk, a military establishment. So we're going to find out. You're a bit of a historian, aren't you?
I'm a military historian, yes.
Right.
So I'm looking into First and Second World War, and slightly before that, military structures in the area. And this is what we see here is a Second World War rifle range with these, what they call Hythe pattern target frames. And you can see them here. There are 8 of these in total running down this markers gallery, meaning that there could be 8 people shooting from the valley that you've just walked up at any one time.
Oh, right.
And the idea is that the people marking the shots, because of course everything needs to be marked and graded, are in complete safety up here. They've got this wall behind us, this mantlet wall, and a roof over their heads, and all the bullets pass over the top of this frame. There would have been wooden targets in here which rise up, covered in canvas and a traditional bullseye that the people out there are aiming at, and the bullets pass through those and embed themselves in the end of the valley up here. So the people here are perfectly safe, in theory. When
Who
we're
are
shooting.
operating? Yes. So who's doing the shooting?
Well, in the Second World War, we had the Home Guard up here on Sundays, and for the rest of the week, we had military organisations coming up. They'd come up for training sessions. They might be here for a week. They might be here for just a day.
Right.
But all sorts of people came up here. We've had found records of people coming up here with anti-tank rifles, which are large caliber things, for a week-long training course.
Gosh.
In 1940, yeah. And we speaking to a chap, Gilbert Saunders, who was in the Home Guard. He was saying how they would come up here with their rifles and practice, but there would also be Bren guns shot up here, submachine guns, pistols, all sorts of weapons were used up here.
Justin, the site, though, dates back further than the Second World War.
It does. The reason there's a rifle range here is because of the Rifle Volunteers, which was a nationwide movement from 1859. And the concept was to raise a civilian army in case somebody should invade this country when our army is abroad fighting another war, such as the Crimean War.
Oh, right.
So the worry was there'd be no soldiers left in this country to defend against an invasion. So the Rifle Volunteers were middle-class men who could join, have to pay a subscription, have to buy their own weapons.
Oh, that's one way to say it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Well, the real idea was that the working class formed the infantry and the navy. The upper class formed the officers, etc. There was no place for the middle class in the army. So this was a happy sort of medium that they could join and feel that they were doing something.
So we're strolling up behind the targets now, Justin, and this is obviously where all the bullets would land, presumably.
So this is what's called the backstop, where all the bullets that pass through the penetrable targets embed themselves in the ground up here.
Now, you were telling me, because I just thought, oh, well, that's it, this would be the area, just avoid the back of this. Yeah. But the danger area seems to extend some distance.
Yes, it does. So beyond this point, for another 2 kilometres or so...
2 kilometres?
Yes, this is merely a small part of the range itself. So this way, you've got a large area that's out of bounds when the range is in use. So nobody's allowed to walk, cross over. There are flagstaffs, and in theory, there's a person at each footpath entry point stopping people coming in.
Oh, right.
Because the bullets, if they overshoot, they have a huge range, and if they ricochet, if they hit something hard and ricochet, that can send them flying over the hill. So all ranges are designed with this huge danger area as part of their overall structure. If they can't have that, then they close.
Yeah, and I guess that's what makes this valley and the South Downs particularly useful for that purpose.
It was ideal at the time, yes. Not the case now, but at the time, less populated. It was the perfect location for a range.
So Justin, this is a fascinating place. If you didn't know what it was, you could come across this and think, oh my goodness, this is most peculiar.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing until you guys got involved, it was even more strange because it was presumably in an unpreserved state.
Exactly. So the rifle range closed in the late 1980s. So for 30 years, we've had the natural world take over.
Yes.
The whole area back here was covered in trees, which were removed 3 years ago and opened up the site to as it would originally have been.
Right.
And it's made the whole of this markers gallery much more open, allowing us to come in and start work here. There was a lot of work to do.
I can imagine.
Because, yes, exactly. So all of the pits that the targets fall into were full of soil and glass and rubbish. Not only rubbish that's built up over 30 years, but some of the material from the range was dumped in there when the site shut down. So we had two grass mowers, big things, Oxford Allen mowers with wheels, wheel spans like this. We had bags and bags of shotgun cases that had been dumped in there. We found some steel plates, which used to be one of the targets that were used. So all sorts of things were dumped in there. The idea here is to recondition some of the frames and remove all the really badly corroded parts, so that when people come up, they can see the rifle range as it would have been perhaps in the Second World War. We've got one of the frames in working order, so we've got a cable that runs over the wheels, and so the counterbalance system works properly.
Right.
2 wooden targets that we can put in with canvas targets to cover over those.
And can people actually have a go then?
They can come up and have a go moving it, because it's a really simple operation to do, and it's really easy to move.
Yeah.
Well designed.
But that would be on an open day. That's not like you just come up and do it whenever you want.
Unfortunately, we can't leave any of the stuff up here because of the recurring problem of littering and damage.
Yes.
It happens anywhere, but
because this is just this is on its own. There's no. It's not like you're a gated entrance place. You can just stumble across this and look at it.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have just lain down. I'm imagining this is a gun. There's a bank here, 100 yards, I think, and then there's another bank further, which I believe is 200 yards, and then it goes back to 800 yards. I think it's 500 yards and 800 yards. And this is where the soldiers, or the shooters, I suppose, would have been with their guns, aiming at the targets. Absolutely fascinating. From here you can't see anything. You wouldn't even know the place is there, and the targets would pop up. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic. I don't want to get up. Thanks so much to Matthew and Justin for taking me round. This is just a little taster, really. Matthew begged to come back and have a bit more of a look round. There's so much more to see. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. Become a patron, give me a thumbs up, do a like, and all the usual stuff. Or I will shoot you. And I'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.